morning. It's time now for your Wednesday edition of Storm Watch. And this edition is sponsored by Rayovac. Today, a few showers or thunderstorms could mar your travel plans. And coming up in just a few moments, we'll have full details regarding that weather story. In the meantime, though, let's see what's happening in the tropics. It's time now for your tropical update. And as we look back through time, climatologically speaking, the areas most favored for tropical development for the latter part of October would include the Western Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. At least as we look back through time from 1886 to 1997, there have been 40 storms at this particular time frame. Again, most of these have been confined to those general areas. Well, having said that, as we look at the current situation across the tropics, we are seeing some activity. Clouds and showers and thunderstorms billowing up across the Gulf, likewise across the Caribbean. Then we've got a few more tropical waves trying to work their way across the Atlantic basin. So as we zoom in closer, we do see signs of a low pressure area over the southern Gulf of Mexico. It's located right about here or so. And there's also an upper level low that's located over Mexico. And what's happening is that it's causing a lot of moisture to be pulled northward, and we are seeing some showers and thunderstorms flaring up this morning across the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, they're still rather poorly organized, and it appears as if most of this convection continues to be on the north side of this low pressure area. So it's all on the north side of the center of circulation. Now, currently, again, it's not very well organized, but the forecast models are hinting at that this might develop into something. So again, it's something that definitely bears some watching. One thing, though, that we will definitely notice happening the next 24 hours or so is that the winds will start to pick up around the Gulf of Mexico. We have this broad area of low pressure again in the Gulf, but at the same time, we have a building area of high pressure that's coming down from the north. So in between the two, a tight pressure gradient. So we'll likely see some choppy conditions and rough waters across the Gulf of Mexico with that tight pressure difference across those two areas. Heading now across the Caribbean, we've had some showers this morning, flaring up mainly to the south of Cuba this morning. But the main action continues to be right just off the coast of South America. Just to the north of Panama, we see this huge blow-up of showers and thunderstorms. Here, too, there's an area of low pressure situated around this region, and it's in association with a tropical wave that continues to slowly pull off towards the west. Now, it's been undergoing a little bit of wind shear, but we'll still have to watch this area very closely for the potential for some development. Now, just to the east of that, there's another tropical wave that's been coming in across the Lesser Antilles and around the Windward and Leeward Islands this morning. We've had some showers and thunder showers in association with that as well. And it does appear as if this may eventually move into an area a little bit more favorable for development. So this is also an area that we'll continue to monitor very closely the next few days. Heading out towards the eastern Pacific, though, we're still talking about Hurricane Lester. Still a very powerful hurricane with winds around 100 miles an hour or so. And right now it's centered about 280 miles southwest of Manzanillo, Mexico. It is currently pulling off towards the west-northwest. Now, we've noticed a big trough of low pressure just off the California shoreline, and at least for a short while, that may help to steer Lester more in a northerly fashion. But we think that would only be a short-term thing because eventually that trough will lift out, and we think that for the most part, Lester will start to work its way farther out towards the open waters, and it will eventually resume more of a westerly track as we go along in time. So what this all means, though, is that for the most part, we don't think Lester will have any direct threat for Mexico. We think, however, that there will be some choppy conditions, some rough waters, some big seas and pounding surf, and definitely some dangerous rip currents along the Mexican shoreline. But again, the good news, Lester will not pose any direct threat to Mexico. Here's another satellite perspective of Lester. Again, it's churning up the waters here across the eastern Pacific and will eventually work its way farther back towards the open waters. Now, in the western Pacific, though, we have Typhoon Babs, a super typhoon that will eventually weaken somewhat, and it looks as if it might be headed right towards the northern shoreline of the Philippines. Unfortunately, it will take a path very close to what Zeb did, and we'll have to watch out for some very heavy rain, flooding, and some mudslides across the Philippines over the next few days or so. We'll keep you posted.
Every day is new. We tell you about the weather right now. How will it affect where you're headed? What about your plans? People count on us to get them through the day. I love that.
This program was sponsored by Rayovac Rechargeable Alkaline.
Batteries. Video games don't just blast through your batteries.
More batteries!
They blast through your money. That's why you should arm yours with Rayovac Maximum Alkaline. They pack long-lasting alkaline power but cost less, so you can buy more games.
How about a little one-on-one?
Uh-oh.
Get the Maximum. Rayovac Maximum.
And thanks for joining us for Storm Watch. I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso. We have a tale of two low pressures in the U.S., one in the northeast importing cold air from Canada, and another one in the southwest importing moisture from Mexico. And heavy downpours of rain have moved into Arizona. In the tropics, we're looking at a couple of areas very closely in the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and a couple in the Pacific. Here's Mr. John Hope with all the details.
Right you are, Mark. We have some low-pressure centers in the tropics as well this morning, and first of all, we'll show you a little bit of climatology here. This is the current 10-day period, the 21st to the 31st of October. The total number of storms in over 110 years cut down now to just about 40, and they're more randomly distributed here in the West Atlantic, in the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. So not too apt to happen this time of year. It's about once every other year or so. However, we do have some areas that we're very concerned about, interested in. One of them is right here in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll detail that a little bit more later. And another one, almost a depression, even as we speak, down here in the Caribbean Sea, just off the coast of Colombia. Now, looking in the Gulf of Mexico, we do have a surface low-pressure center out here, and it is right here on the edge of all this very heavy shower and thunderstorm area that you see to the north. That being the case, is not that well organized. However, it does appear with time to be getting better organized, and the Hurricane Center will dispatch a reconnaissance aircraft out there this afternoon to check it out. Now, as far as the future goes, I think it's going to have a little bit of a difficult time to impact the coast of the United States, because we expect this northern part of the Gulf, before this can get up there, to be swept out by a cold front. And at that point, there's some possibility, we think, that this is going to be pushed back southwestward toward the mainland of Mexico. But we'll just have to wait and see about that. In the meantime, we could have a tropical depression there very soon, so we'll be keeping you up to date on it. In any case, even if it doesn't get up very far, with that high coming down and this low out here in the Gulf, the pressure gradient is going to be very intense up here, and that means there are going to be pretty strong easterly winds, so you might be aware of that along the Gulf Coast. Well, I'm sorry about the glitch in the picture here, but down here in the southwestern Caribbean, just off the coast of Colombia, we do have a disturbance that seems to be developing into a depression, and the Hurricane Center will also check that out this afternoon or early this evening with yet another reconnaissance aircraft. And we have a third area of disturbed weather and another bad picture up here in the Leeward Islands and coming into the Virgin Islands. And I noticed this morning some of those winds are fairly strong there, gusting to about 35 miles an hour, for example, at St. Martin's out of the east. We do not expect at this time for this to develop into any kind of a depression. And here in the eastern Atlantic, it's too late this time of year to really expect to see anything develop. However, now we'll take you to the Pacific side, where we still have Hurricane Lester. Lester is hanging right in there. Well, this seems to be old, yeah, it is. The winds now are up to 110 miles an hour there, and moving, or 105 miles an hour, get it right in a minute, moving toward the west-northwest about 10 miles an hour. And looking at the latest satellite picture, and we can zoom in on it and show you a closer shot, perhaps. Well, no, we skipped past that. Okay, here we are. This is moving toward the west, and now we expect it to remain pretty well south of Baja California. We don't expect it to make a direct impact. Now let's go to the Pacific, and when we go to the Pacific, we'll show you that out there we do have a super typhoon. It's just coming in to the Philippine Islands, this peninsula here on Luzon. It's a super typhoon. The winds are up to 150 miles an hour. And it went right over the island of Catanduanes here, I'm afraid, the eye of this typhoon. So that is a major blow there. More on this later. That's the tropics. Now back to Mark.
All right, thanks a lot, John. And as we take a look stateside, still a little light rain in southeast Texas, but the real heavy rain is in west Texas and points west, where we find the best supply of tropical moisture. In the northeast, a cold breeze blowing in, and yes, those are snowflakes on the current weather map. Here you can see where we have the rains, but this rain is much needed in west Texas where it's been so dry. Southeast Texas, finally looking at lighter showers. We'll have a complete update on the rains in the southwest and the showers of rain and snow moving into the northeast next.
The worst of the flooding isn't over yet in Texas. We'll update conditions, plus look at where you'll see rain coming up on Weather Center. But first, your local forecast.
I'll never use a traditional broker again.
I've saved thousands on commissions.
Finally, I'm in control of my own money.
Investing will never be the same again. Introducing the new E-Trade, the web's one-stop financial center.
I can get stocks, options, mutual funds.
Invest with 10 times more research, more power, and data security just by calling this number.
I get in-depth information, analytical tools, absolutely free.
There's 3 real...
This was as of 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and I have the newest coordinates here as of 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's located at 16.8 north, 109 west. Winds are still 105 miles per hour, still moving west-northwest at about 7 miles per hour. So not too much change there. And if we look on the satellite imagery, we can see it here, well-defined eye here. Doesn't appear to be any threat to Baja California or the Mexican coast at this stage. Continues to move to the west. We'll monitor it for you. If anything, if there's any direction change, it would be more toward the north rather than...
On Storm Watch today, we're looking at some squally weather in the Great Lakes, ushering in the coldest air mass of the season into much of the eastern United States, and some unsettled weather in Texas and the Southwest. More on Storm Watch after Dr. Steve Lyons takes a look at the tropical update.
Well, thank you, Mike, and welcome to the Tropical Update. We've got lots going on tonight. Let's show you what it is in the Atlantic Basin first, then we'll go to both the eastern and western Pacific basins. We've been looking at a tropical disturbance here in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, also another one down here in the southwestern Caribbean, and some shower activity over here in the northern Leeward Islands, and we'll zoom in on those right away. Now, first of all, you can see here the last 10 days of October, we see a very diminished number of dots here on the screen. First of all, you can see the location, but this would indicate that we really don't have too much of the season left, about 8%, and it's very rare for us to get a major hurricane this time of year. Although it has not been impossible in the past, it's very rare to have that. Now, in the Gulf of Mexico, we have a huge area of thunder shower activity. Part of this shower activity is related to an upper level low over Mexico. The other part is related to a surface low here in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll zoom in on in just a second. You can see all the shower activity. But notice the fast upper level westerlies here. That will preclude significant tropical development over the next 24 to 48 hours. You can see this weak surface low in here spinning around. Hurricane hunters out there earlier today didn't find too much. It could still become a depression the next 24 to 48 hours, but an upper level trough coming down over the United States will push a frontal boundary out here, and it should squash it back to the west-southwest. So Texas, I think you're in pretty good shape rain-wise for this. I don't think you're going to get too much out of it. We'll have to wait and see, though. You need to stay tuned to the Weather Channel. Now, out in the Caribbean, we have a little vortex down here, right off the coast of Venezuela, spinning around pretty good. Hurricane hunters are on their way out there in about 8 p.m. tonight Eastern Time. They should be in there, and we'll give you the latest reports on what's going on there as well. So going to the central Atlantic, we've had a large area of shower activity, some of it heading toward Puerto Rico. Guadalupe had 3.5 inches of rain as of yesterday up until 8 a.m. this morning, and is still getting quite a bit of rain, but no tropical development expected there either. And as we go into the central Atlantic, an area of disturbed weather in here we'll have to watch, but typically we don't expect development this time of year. So we have a lot of possibilities there for our last named storm of the season, which would be rather typical this time of year. But right now, nothing's really firing up too closely. We'll have to keep an eye on all of them for you. And off the African coast as well, a little vortex coming off the coast right here, but very rare for anything to develop there. In the Eastern Pacific, we have Hurricane Lester here. As of 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, you can see it was 330 miles to the southwest of Manzanillo, Mexico, moving to the west-northwest at 7. Winds 105 miles per hour. Those of you surfers in Southern California, you'll have to wait till my magic 115-degree west longitude before you get any swell from it. But the Mexican coast and southern Baja will get swell from it within the next 12 to 24 hours. And you can see here, it still has a well-defined eye and moving very slowly to the west-northwest. Currently not a threat to land other than that surf. Now finally out here in the Western Pacific, we had Super Typhoon Babs out here. It's moved over land now and downgraded a little bit to about 120, 130 miles per hour. But it's also taken a loop down to the south, and Manila Bay is right up in here. It could possibly move right in the vicinity of Greater Manila and be a real threat later on tonight and into the next 24 hours. We'll keep you updated on that. Now let's get back to that cold weather in the United States with Mike Bono.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Yes, the high pressure is on the map, and it's only going to build over the next 24 hours. It's going to get a little help from a trough moving through the Great Lakes, which is causing rain mixed with snow in upper Michigan and even some flurries in the northeast. As that trough passes, it's going to allow this high to just expand. But in the process, light and chilly rain showers from the southern tier of New York into the Poconos, and squally heavy rain showers locally around Cleveland, turning to snow in upper Michigan and eventually in New England. Good news in Texas, light rains, but a few showers around Brownsville and the outer peripheries of that system that Steve was talking about. The southwest, we have an upper level low with some showers. More on these showers on Weather Center coming up next.
The worst of the flooding isn't over yet in Texas. We'll update conditions, plus look at where you'll see rain coming up on Weather Center. But first, your local forecast.
Dust bunnies under the chair, dust so thick it's everywhere? You need Static Duster, the cleaning sensation that cuts cleaning time in half. Charge Static Duster on any TV screen. The charge is so powerful.
In the low.